In 1976, a man named Zecharia Sitchin published a book called The 12th Planet. In it, he claimed that ancient Sumerian texts described a hidden planet called Nibiru, home of extraterrestrial beings who created humanity. The book sold millions of copies and launched 1,000 documentaries as the foundation of almost everything you've ever heard about the Anunnaki. And according to mainstream scholars, it's all wrong. They say Sitchin mistranslated the text, that Nibiru doesn't mean what he said it means, that there is no 12th planet. So for 50 years, that's where the debate has sat. Believers on one side, skeptics on the other, both sides convinced they're right. But what if they're both missing something? What if the scholars are correct? Nibiru isn't a hidden planet. But the truth is even stranger than Sitchin imagined. Because right now, as I'm recording this, an object from outside our solar system is heading toward the exact location the ancient text described, and it course-corrected to get there. This is going to take some explaining, so stay with me. Let's start at the beginning. Not the beginning of the universe, the beginning of recorded history. Around 4500 BCE, in the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, or modern-day Iraq, something remarkable happened. A civilization emerged that by all accounts shouldn't have existed yet. The Sumerians. They didn't slowly develop writing over centuries. They seemingly invented it, fully formed. A complex system called cuneiform pressed into clay tablets with reed styluses. They didn't gradually figure out mathematics either. They used a base 60 system sophisticated enough that we still use it today. 60 seconds in a minute, 360 degrees in a circle, that's all Sumerian. They mapped the stars with precision that wouldn't be matched for thousands of years. They knew about planets that can't be seen with the naked eye. And they wrote obsessively about their gods. Not distant, abstract gods, physical beings. The Anunnaki, which translates roughly to those who came from heaven to earth, or princely offspring, depending on the scholar that you ask. These beings ate, they drank, they had conflicts with each other, they needed labor done, so they, according to the text, they created humanity to do it. Now, mainstream archaeology says that these are just myths, stories primitive people told to explain where they came from. But that's what's always bothered researchers on the fringe. The Sumerians didn't think they were telling myths. They recorded these accounts the same way they recorded grain shipments and legal contracts. They recorded it matter-of-factly, as history. And they wrote about something called Nibiru. For decades, the Nibiru debate has been stuck in a frustrating loop. Sitchin said Nibiru was a planet beyond Pluto on a 3,600-year elliptical orbit. He said it was the home of the Anunnaki. He said it would return, possibly causing catastrophe. His critics said he was making it up, mistranslating, cherry-picking text to fit his theory. So what do the texts actually say? Dr. Michael Heiser dedicated years to answering just this question. He has a PhD in Hebrew Bible and ancient Semitic languages from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He's not a fringe researcher. He's a mainstream scholar who simply got tired of the bad information floating around on both sides. He analyzed every single cuneiform text that mentions Nibiru, every one, using the Chicago Assyrian Dictionary, the gold standard for Akkadian translation. In his findings, the word Nibiru, or more precisely, Nebiru, means crossing or point of transition. It's used for river crossings, ferry boats, the place where paths intersect. In astronomical context, it appears in exactly 4 ways, referring to the planet Jupiter, the planet Mercury, and the god Marduk, and occasionally a star. Here's a direct quote from the tablets, ancient Babylonian astronomical records. When the stars of Enlil have been finished, one big star, although its light is dim, divides the sky in half and stands there. That is the star of Marduk, Nibiru, Jupiter. Jupiter, not a hidden planet, not Planet X, Jupiter. Heiser documented 6 key problems with Sitchin's theory. 1. Nibiru was observed every year by the Babylonians. You can't observe something on a 3,600-year orbit annually. 2. The Sumerians only recorded 5 planets in their astronomical text, plus the Sun and the Moon. They never mentioned planets beyond Saturn. 3. Nibiru is never, not once associated with the Anunnaki in cuneiform text. 4. The Sumerian text never described humanity being created to mine gold. That's Sitchin's interpretation, not a translation. 5. The text never described the Anunnaki as extraterrestrials. They're called gods, divine beings, but the alien interpretation is more modern. 6. Many of Sitchin's key translations have been shown to be simply incorrect by multiple independent scholars. Case closed, right? Nibiru equals Jupiter. Mystery solved. Go home. Except... Here's something most people don't know. We've barely scratched the surface of what the Sumerians wrote. There are over 500,000 cuneiform tablets sitting in museums all around the world. Most of them have never been translated. Some of them have never even been photographed. Why? Because there are only about 75 people on Earth who can fluently read cuneiform. It takes decades to learn, and translating a single tablet can take weeks or even months. At that rate, we'd need centuries to get through them all. Enter artificial intelligence. In 2023, researchers at Tel Aviv University and Eerie University developed an AI system that can translate Akkadian cuneiform into English. It's not perfect, but well enough to process thousands of tablets that have sat untouched for over a century. A researcher named Frank Zindler built something called the AICC, the AI Cuneiform Corpus. Using a custom-trained neural network, he's translated over 130,000 texts. It's the largest collections of translated cuneiform in history. Now, here's what's important to understand. AI isn't inventing translations. It's trained on existing human translations, then applied to untranslated text. It's showing us what the tablets say, not what we want them to say. And what are they finding? Mostly mundane stuff. Beer receipts, business complaints, letters from sons to their mothers, the everyday life of ancient Mesopotamia. But also, detailed astronomical observations, creation narratives that match what we already knew, but with new details, records of the gods and their activities. The AI translations confirm what scholars like Hesser have said. Sitchin's specific claims about Nibiru being a hidden planet aren't in the text, but they also confirm something else. The Sumerians described their gods as physical beings who came from the sky, created humans through some kind of deliberate process, and eventually withdrew. The gods, according to the text, aren't here anymore, not in the way they once were. The question nobody's been able to answer is, where did they go? And could anything bring them back? Or could something else arrive? July 1st, 2025. The Atlas telescope in Chile, that's the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Blast Alert System, detected an object that didn't belong. At first, it looked like a comet. Fuzzy, moving fast, nothing unusual. But when astronomers calculated its trajectory, they realized something was wrong. This object was moving too fast to be bound by the sun's gravity. Way too fast. Its orbit wasn't elliptical like everything else in our solar system. It was hyperbolic, a one-way path. This thing wasn't circling back. It was passing through. They named it 3I Atlas. The 3I means only the third confirmed interstellar object ever detected. The first one was Oumuamua in 2017, and the second was Comet Borisov in 2019. 3 visitors from outside our solar system in 8 years, after presumably billions of years of none. But 3I Atlas was different from its predecessors. Oumuamua was small, tumbling, and weird. Some scientists speculated it might be artificial because of its unusual shape and acceleration, but it was gone before we could study it properly. Borisov was clearly a comet, icy, outgassing, behaving exactly as expected. 3I Atlas? It's big. NASA estimates its nucleus could be up to 3.5 miles across. It's active, producing gas and dust as it heats up approaching the sun. And it's moving at incredible speed, 137,000 miles per hour when it was first spotted. It came from the direction of Sagittarius, the constellation that marks the center of our galaxy. Scientists traced its path back 10 million years, couldn't find a single star that could have launched it. Whatever ejected this object into interstellar space, it happened a very long time ago. On October 29, 2025, 3I Atlas reached its perihelion, its closest approach to the Sun. It passed just inside the orbit of Mars, swung around, and began heading outward. Its next major encounter? Jupiter. March 16, 2026. And that's where things get very, very strange. Every planet has what's called a Hill radius. Named after American astronomer George William Hill, it's the region of space where that planet's gravity dominates over the Sun's. Think of it as a planet's sphere of influence. For Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, the Hill radius extends about 53.5 million kilometers from the planet's center. Anything that enters this sphere falls under Jupiter's gravitational control. The Lagrange points L1 and L2 are the stable zones where objects can orbit with minimal fuel, sit at this boundary. It's a significant threshold. Now here's what Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb calculated. 3I Atlas will pass Jupiter at a minimum distance of 53.445 million kilometers. Jupiter's Hill radius is 53.502 million kilometers. That's a difference of only 0.06 million kilometers. After traveling for potentially billions of years across interstellar space, this object will skim the exact edge of Jupiter's gravitational sphere of influence. Loeb ran the probability considering Jupiter's full orbital diameter. The chance of this alignment happening randomly is 1 in 26,000. Let that sink in. 1 in 26,000. But here's what makes it weirder. When astronomers tracked 3I Atlas through perihelion, they detected something unexpected: non-gravitational acceleration. The object sped up in a way that can't be explained by the Sun's gravity alone. Comets do this sometimes. Ice on the surface sublimates, turns directly from solid to gas, and the jets push the comet slightly. It's called outgassing. But the acceleration observed on the 3I Atlas was measured far beyond stronger than the typical outgassing should produce, and it happened to shift the trajectory by exactly enough, about 0.1 million kilometers, to align with Jupiter's Hill radius. Without that acceleration, 3I Atlas would have missed Jupiter's gravitational sphere entirely. The timing is also notable. The acceleration occurred at perihelion when 3I Atlas was closest to the Sun and hidden from Earth's view. If you were going to make course correction and you didn't want anyone to see it clearly, that would be the optimal moment. You'd use the Sun's gravity as a slingshot assist, and you'd be obscured from observation. Now, NASA has officially stated that 3I Atlas is a comet, natural, unremarkable except for its interstellar origin, and maybe they're right. But Avi Loeb, who chairs Harvard's astronomy department, who led the team that photographed the first black hole, who is not a fringe figure, wrote this: "Let us suppose, hypothetically, that 3I Atlas is a mothership designed to seed Jupiter with technological devices. What would be the largest distance from Jupiter that the interstellar gardener should arrive at? For that purpose, 3I Atlas must arrive within Jupiter's Hill radius." He's not saying it is artificial, he's saying that the math is consistent with it being artificial, and he's asking the question no one at NASA seems to be willing to ask. What are the odds? So here's where we are. 5,000 years ago, the Sumerians wrote about Nibiru, the crossing point. Mainstream scholars have confirmed, in astronomical context, Nibiru refers to Jupiter. They call Jupiter the place where paths intersect, the point of transition, the crossing. Right now, an interstellar object, only the third ever detected, is on course to reach Jupiter's gravitational boundary with a 1 in 26,000 precision alignment. An alignment that was enabled by unexplained acceleration during the one window when the object couldn't be clearly observed from Earth. I'm not going to tell you what this means. I'm not going to claim that 3I Atlas is an alien spacecraft. I'm not going to say that Anunnaki are returning. I'm not going to pretend to have any answers I don't have. What I will say is this. We've spent 50 years arguing about whether Nibiru is a hidden planet or a mistranslation, whether the Sumerians met aliens or invented mythology. Maybe we've been asking the wrong questions. Maybe Nibiru was never about where the gods came from. Maybe it was about where things cross, where paths meet, where the boundary between out there and in here gets thin. The ancients watched the sky with patience we can barely imagine. They tracked cycles over centuries. They recorded what they saw with obsessive precision. And they said Jupiter was the crossing point. In 4 months, something from outside our solar system will arrive at that exact location. I don't know what it means, but I know it means something. Here's what I've learned from studying ancient texts. They don't explain everything. They declare truths and leave you to wrestle with them. They plant seeds and they let them grow in your mind over time. The Bible doesn't explain where the Nephilim came from. It just says that they were there. The Sumerians don't explain how they knew about planetary movements they shouldn't have been able to see. They just recorded them. And I'm not going to explain exactly what 3-Eye Atlas is because I don't know. But I can tell you this. The universe is stranger than we've been told. The past is more mysterious than the textbooks admit, and sometimes the old stories and new observations line up in ways that can't be coincidence. The frequency is broadcasting. It always has been. Some of us are just starting to tune in. I'm Copernicus, and if this opens something in your mind, subscribe, share it. Let's see how many people are ready to ask these questions.